This next video is going to be in two parts. I'm going to look at Edison shavers, and what I got here are two early shavers and two of the later versions of the shaver. So we're going to start with these two, so I'm going to make a video just on these. Early Edison cylinder players used wax cylinders of this size, the 4-inch size, and these needed to be shaved if you wanted to record on them. So the early machines all came with shavers. By about 1904 though, they had stopped producing machines in the home and standard models that had shavers because they really knew that the motors weren't powerful enough to shave a cylinder properly. Other machines in the line, like the Triumph, still had shavers on their carriages, but even those were phased out when the Model Cs were introduced for all their line. They removed the shavers from just about everything. The cylinders that they used on those were 4-inch cylinders like this, and they could be shaved on a machine such as these two Edison shavers. These are the earlier ones. This is one of the business type cylinders. They're a little bit thicker. They're obviously longer. This is 6 inches long. This is a brown one, but there are most that you'll find are a dark brown or a black color. These were good for office dictation, and since they were used in an office, they had to be shaved every time a letter was done on one of them, and they wanted to reuse it. So these are the two shavers that Edison first came out with. This is the earliest one. Let me take the lid off, take a good look at it. This one's messy because a cylinder was shaved and it hasn't been cleaned since then. I don't have a vacuum here. This came in two types, this one, and this one could also be bought with an electric motor. So this one's hand crank, and I'm missing the crank at the moment, but you could drive this and shave it by hand. They were pretty efficient, but it was still a lot of work to shave a cylinder by hand. So that would have been $35 at that time. And for $55, you could get one with an electric motor. So I'm going to bring you in close, and we'll take a look at this one first, and then we'll talk about this one. Okay, let's take a look at this shaver. So there's the sapphire knife that cuts the cylinder. You can see the pulleys. And it's a mess because we used it to shave a cylinder and haven't cleaned it. There's a drawer down here for the shavings, and they just fall through that little trough there into the box. There's the adjustment to shave the cylinder. This would take a lot of work to do by hand. I would have opted for the electric version. Okay, put the crank in it. We're going to give it a turn. You can see the cylinder rotates really fast when you crank it. So this is the early version. So this is the 1908 version. There's the decal. Let's take a look at it. Very similar. There's the shaving device. Let's look in the cabinet. Oh, nice decal. There we go. Oh, in there. Now what's really cool about this is the shavings drop in here, and there's a blower here that's turned by the crank, and it sucks the shavings down and puts them in that bag. So the shavings are actually sucked in there like with a vacuum. Oh, look at that. At the back of the machine, there's this tray, and that's for mounting a motor on it. So you can see at one time there was an electric motor on this, and then a pulley went through that slit in the cabinet to run the machine. So let's give this a crank. Yeah, it goes pretty fast. And I've got it set up to actually shave, so let's lower that down and give it a try. Now this cylinder's already in shaved condition, but at least we can see how it works. There you have it. Let's see. Beautiful. It's like glass. So let's look at the two later ones. Go to part 2.